think Myers was just kind of hanging out, and you saw how that he was, he pulled Corey's body into there, and you saw that like billboard of that one missing victim. So I think that's what Myers was doing in the meantime, just to keep himself alive, was he was just constantly pulling people in. But there was something about Corey that he saw. Like when he grabs Corey, he's going to kill him. We know that. He's going to kill Corey right there. And then he looks in Corey's eyes and he sees something, and I'm just speculating here, but he sees what he saw when he was 6 years old. That he sees that evil that entered him when he was 6 years old, and he was like, oh, wait, this is something different here. I like that David Gordon Green didn't really spell out everything, and he left a lot of things open for interpretation. Like one question I have, and you tell me what you think about this, but Corey, do you think he always had some kind of supernatural power? Like when Myers is choking him, part of me was thinking maybe he can't die like normal people die. And maybe he was choked enough to where he could die, but he still was alive. And maybe that's what Myers saw.
But to me, I'm like, hold up, because Michael Myers is supposed to be the great white shark. It's supposed to be like, okay, the all-time evil goes to this man. Michael Myers is the shape. He's the only him though. It's supposed to be his universe. He's the embodiment of the evil. We're supposed to be all worried about him. If the evil can be transferred, so okay, now Corey has the evil. How come he couldn't? He did overpower Michael Myers at one point, but then Michael Myers came back and bodied him like it was nothing. I'm like, okay, so it's like it's not consistent with the who's stronger and what moment, because they both weak at that. I mean, because Corey stabbed himself, they both were weak. But I don't know, man. I was just like, not them. Just when Corey ran to that sewer and ripped his mask off, you're just a man in the mask. I'm like, y'all just annihilating any kind of spookiness Michael Myers ever had in his whole run. I'm like, it's kind of sad, like looking at old man Myers like that.
Well, I think that's the one thing that, I think Corey was on his way up and Myers was on his way down.
But
and maybe
they killed him off then, though. That was what was so confusing. It's like, you guys make me like this character, and I'm maybe starting to be excited about him, and then all of a sudden he's gone now. Like, what was the point of that?
All right, here's my answer to that. I think the reason they did that was this was tying up a trilogy. There's no doubt about that. I think a lot of people misunderstand that too. They think I wanted the same thing as we got in one and Kills, and this movie took a huge left turn. And I think the reason for killing Corey off was because Laurie Strode saw the evil immediately because of the 45 years of history that she had with Michael Myers. As soon as Corey becomes, we'll call it the evil, because he doesn't become Myers, the evil goes into Corey. And so once she notices that, because Laurie's really the only person in Haddonfield that knows this, that sees Michael for what he is, not a person, but evil. So when she sees it in Corey immediately, I think she realizes we have to end this like now. And so Myers just kind of comes at the right time and ends it. But there is that question at the end, because they never show them taking Corey's body off. Right. So I think they leave it because Corey stabbed himself in the neck, right? And then he gets his neck broken. Like any normal human being would have been dead if they stabbed.
Because Myers got his neck broken in Halloween Kills when Karen stepped on his neck. I thought his neck was broken right there too. Yeah, so I guess you can argue that.
Exactly, but I think, and I've said this before I even saw Ends, the original intention of the original Halloween was that evil never dies. Right. So this movie was showing that evil, you might think it dies in another human being like Michael Myers, but it still can go to another human being, which is what it did with Corey. And so it leaves that interpretation that maybe Corey he could still be alive. They don't tell you that, but they don't it's kind of like what they did at the end of Halloween, where she looks down and Myers is gone. I don't think they perfected it. I think they could have directed it in a way where maybe they sent that home a little bit better. Maybe they come out and they see Corey's body's gone from the crime scene, wherever he was. Yeah. And then they do because even at the end of the movie, they showed, here's where we've been, and they show like 5-6 different places, just like the end of the first movie.
That's the crazy part. When we was watching it, I wasn't even sad. I was like, what? Because I was like, yeah, Laurie, get him. Because I'm like, Michael Myers guy died. I'm thinking about it as if it's real life. Okay, kill this guy. But at the same time, like, oh, not Michael Myers. But the story was good. He was like, okay, the story was cool. Like the Corey guy, we liked Corey. I liked him. He was cool. The whole angle, I felt bad for him. I mean, he had a bad run as a story. But I'm like, all right, they dragging this Corey thing on a little too long. Like, get back to OG. Where Michael Myers at? Where is he at? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what everybody wanted out of this movie. If you want to do some parallels here, and this is speculation, you can compare these three movies to the first three Halloween movies.
True.
I'm not saying they're in the timeline, but I'm saying if you look at Halloween 1, you know, critics loved the first movie, as they should have. Yes. Critics pretty much loved Halloween 2018. Then here comes Kills, which kind of has, you know, they upped the ante in terms of the blood and the guts. If you remember back, they did that in Halloween 2, you know. Hospital so then, and if you even look at the logos for both those movies,
right,
very similar. So then here comes Halloween 3. Everybody's pissed off. Like, what the hell is this movie? Right. Where is Michael Myers? And even the font is the same as Halloween Ends. And so
I didn't even notice that.
Halloween Ends is kind of Halloween Ends is kind of a marrying of the two worlds, though, because it's not without Michael Myers. And I would even say Myers is extremely important in the movie. Even though you don't see him that much, he is the catalyst for the evil that ends up going into Corey. So when I went back and watched this a second and even a third time, I was really just kind of focused in on, this is Corey's movie. And they would show little clues about, you know, where Myers was. But once they finally introduced him, I think it just had more of an impact than if we show Myers every 10 minutes killing people. You know, we've had that before. So we're trying to wrap up this story and show that it's not Myers, but it's Haddonfield consumed by the evil, you know, by what, you know, the curse that Myers put over the town. And even after he was gone for 4 years, they were still, you know, right at the beginning, they're showing people are hanging themselves, the murder rate's up. That was the infection that was over Haddonfield. Mm-hmm. You know, so Myers didn't have to do a thing. Yeah. And so then here comes this kid, comes into the tunnel, and Myers infects him, and it's like, okay, we're starting the whole process over again. You know, so it's like, thank God for Laurie Strode.
But that angle was weird because I'm like, Michael, when did Michael Myers ever be like? Well, what she did say is 3 kinds of eagles. There's 3 kinds of evils, or different kinds of evil. Because Corey he learned how to be evil, I guess, from like his trauma. But I don't like that kind of story. I like Michael Myers is supposed to be a regular kid that just snapped one day, and you don't know where it came from. I don't need no explanation. I just want to know that, okay, he's just evil. I don't need to know where it came from, how it came. I don't really want to know what he was doing as a kid. He was a regular little kid from the suburbs, and one day he just snapped. Like, to me, that's creepier than know, oh, he went through something as a kid. He had some trauma or whatever. I don't like. To me, I don't know. It's just. But then, like, okay, I like the evil thing, but him taking the mask and like when him and the doctor, when him and Michael Myers pulled up to the doctor's house, and they killed the doctor, and he had his own mask on that kind of looked like his mask looked like a clown, but it kind of reminded me of the clown from Halloween Resurrection. A little bit. Patient, the mental patient. He kind of had that kind of clown mask. When he was, I like that. I was okay. He got his own look.
I liked his mask.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to be Michael. Be a killer, but don't be Michael Myers. It's like, come on.
That scene where he rips the mask off of Myers, and you saw Myers was like, Myers was like a brick wall at first, but finally he gets him down and he takes his mask. And if you listen to the line that he said right after he takes his mask off, he said, "You're just a man in a mask now." I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he pretty much said, "You're just a man in a mask now." So Corey kind of knew that the Myers was getting weaker, and the evil was passing from Myers. Now, here's my question, though, and you tell me what you think. Are there 2 evils in this movie, and the evil's always still there in Myers, and there's like a separate evil that goes to Corey, and they're both still evil? Or is it that the evil from Myers goes to Corey? And Corey's like fighting off the evil throughout the whole movie.
I'm hoping that the evil went to Corey and they're just going to continue on with Corey, because I actually started to like Corey in the movie. Like, even though I didn't go to the movies to see Corey, I actually ended up starting to like him, which is why it made me mad that they tried to kill him off. But like you said, we didn't see his body get dragged off, so hopefully they do continue something with him. But I will be mad if they try to like call it Halloween, or if they try to like make him Michael Myers, because like he said, like If Michael Myers is dead, let Michael Myers be dead. Corey can be his own killer. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like what they did with Creed to Rocky, you know, because Creed's not called Rocky. This is not Rocky's story, even though Rocky is still in it a little bit. Exactly. So they could go that route and call it something different, which would be cool. Now, personally, I don't think they're going to do that. I think David Gordon Green wanted to wrap up this thing by showing that evil never dies, even though you can kill the body of Myers, but it can still exist and it can go into another human. I think that was his end goal. But the thing is that that young actor that played Corey, I thought he was phenomenal.
I thought so too.
And I think he was. Yeah, I think he was so good that I think people that love this movie probably would welcome another movie, like a spinoff that, you know, the Corey Killer. Because
I know I would, yeah.
That's a breakdown. Corey himself. Okay, I peeped the subtle, like he was slowly turning to Michael Myers, him cutting his hand, then he wrapped his hand up like Mike Myers had his hand wrapped up, you know, from getting his finger shot off. And also he had like the little curly hair, like a young Tony Moran or a young Nick Castle. So I was like, okay,
I've heard that before.
So I'm like, you know what? Forget this timeline. This movie, I would have loved the new trilogy would have been focused in like the 70s or 80s, where it's like we're still back. If you want to erase all the sequels, let's just stay back in the day. Let's stay back what happened after 78. Like, okay, Laurie is one case. He go off to another town or go off to another family, another neighborhood, whatever. So Laurie is whatever living her life, but she's away or whatever like that. It's not about Jamie Lee Curtis no more. It's about something new. And you can have young Myers played by Corey. I mean, because he looked like he could have been a young Michael Myers.
You can really bake your noodle with this stuff because you can think about why did the evil attach itself to young Myers? Because what this movie kind of establishes is that Corey is a victim of some sort of trauma. You know, what happened to him at the beginning of the movie, it became like a stain, and the whole town judged him harshly because of what happened. You know, it's this terrible tragedy. And so is that the thing that Myers saw when he grabbed his neck and saw that this kid is extremely troubled and maybe, you know, he's weak. And maybe that's what the evil tries to do. It tries to attach itself to something that's vulnerable, you know, not strong. Whereas Laurie Strode is a very strong type of person. But Corey, at the time, I think he was at his lowest point in his life at the time that he was infected. And that word infected is a really big word in this movie because there's a scene like with his hand when Allison, she's looking at his hands and she says, it's infected. And the infection is caused by the evil. So if there's little clues throughout this movie that you can really pay attention to.
Well, how come he didn't feel that in 2018 when he was choking Laurie out? He should have felt that then too. My question, she's like looked in his eyes. When did Laurie ever look in Michael Myers' eyes well enough to see? Like, when did she ever had a chance to look in Michael Myers' eyes in any movie?
I've seen his face, and they were referring to when she pulled it off in the very first one.
But she's talking about looking at. That means you got to look in somebody's eye. Michael Myers was like trying to catch his balance. He was trying to put his mask back on, so he was like he wasn't even looking at her no more. So when did she look into his eyes? See,
I think Bailey hit the nail on the head because trauma victims, they usually do have an image in their brain of like. You know, you could say like a woman who was raped by a guy, right? Now I can't vouch for them, but I would imagine that there's probably an image in their head of their attacker that will never leave their skull. And what Laurie Strode went through, can you imagine that moment where you got this guy in a mask and you pull his mask off and you know you look in his eyes? That's if it imprints onto your brain, that's probably a vision that's never going to leave your skull.
Right. And
so I think that's
face like that. And she's like, I've already seen this, been there, done that. I already know what you're about.
Even Carpenter himself, he said she's killing it, right? Even Carpenter himself, he said before when he was writing Halloween, he visited this mental ward and he was looking for some kind of motivation for Myers. What makes this killer tick? And then he went to this mental ward and he looked at, I think he said this like 12-year-old kid or something like that. And he said it was right there. It was in the eyes. He didn't even have to say a word. He just looked at him and he was like, he got this chill that just went down his spine. And he was like, it was one of the scariest moments of his entire life. And this is just a 12-year-old kid and he's completely safe. So that's what he put into
story,
Myers. How do you convey that in a script? And Carpenter did it. You know, he made Myers one of the, you know, he's the only killer that's ever given me nightmares in my entire life.